Okay, so you get the picture. There was definitely some vehicles in that haul. There's some more, but they're basically the same exact thing of what I showed you. But I do want to show you the most amazing vehicle of all that was in that haul. It is right here. It's a Tamiya Cloudbuster. Now, I wrote up a thing in the green room about Tamiya and how I love the brand so much. But Tamiya is the best remote control brand, I think, for resale purposes out there right now. This Cloudbuster is in phenomenal condition. Well, it can't get much better than new. And as you can see, this thing has not been built. It's in its actual original box, and most of the stuff is just sitting there in plastic, and it's waiting for somebody to build this sucker. Vintage Tamiya stuff is highly collectible, and it's even crazier when you find it in its own box, because people typically by now have built these things almost all around eBay. So when you find an actual box of something that's about 1987, which is what this is, you're looking at some serious money. The resale value of this Tamiya Cloudbuster unbuilt is about $500 to $600. That's some amazing profits. When you're dealing with a lot situation, you always want to sell the most expensive thing first and then work your way down to the things that don't have as much value associated to them. Let's take a look at some of the other stuff that was in that haul. Definitely got some controllers. Controllers are a big deal. These are hobby grade controllers. They're very complex, made by good companies. JR Racing is typically one of the best ones you can get out there. You can tell a hobby grade remote control a lot of times because they start having LCDs and you know, all kinds of little buttons and trim buttons to make sure that your car runs exactly perfectly in the way you want it to. Hobby grade remote controllers have crazy market values. You know, in its day, in its heyday, and in its time, this sucker probably cost about $300 to $350. But now its market value is about $50 to about $70. So it's still good money. Put batteries in it, test it out, it should definitely work. Outside of those controllers, also got crazy little parts like these tires. There's a whole box full of tires down there. Tires have really good resale as well, especially if you can pinpoint them to the vehicle that they originally were on. So these are kind of like your standard hobby grade tires right there. They're in good shape. They have a little bit of resale associated to them, but not as much as something like this that belongs on a remote control truck. A lot of the times when I see remote control car tires and wheels, if I see that they were once white and they're starting to yellow a little bit and they're starting to get that vintage tint, it starts to scream out at me, maybe this is something that went on one of the cars that was in this pile. And of course I figured out that this one right here went on the green truck that I showed you earlier in the video. It was the stock tires for that green truck back in the day. That's great. So do I take these tires and put them on the green truck and sell them? Well, the green truck had a market value of maybe $60 to $80 with its current tires on there. If I put these tires on there, its market value is still going to be about $60 to $80. So what I want to do is actually take maybe the tires off that are very nice tires, by the way. As you can see, the tread pattern is great. These tires should be sold separately, and I could probably get about $20 to $30 for these right here in their present condition. And that's how you become a bona fide hustler. You start looking at things and, you know, what really matters to that truck, and honestly, this on the truck doesn't matter as much as it separated from the truck. Last but not least, I got remote control car motors, vintage motors. Vintage motors have an insane amount of people that want to buy them. They have a really big following, especially when they're in the packs as you see right here. A lot of times you'll never find them in the pack from old cars such as those. Now those cars that I showed you earlier in the video are considered vintage cars, but they're not super vintage like an old RC10 Gold Pan car or a JRX2 buggy. They are the better cars that came around about 5 years later, 10 years later, the ones I showed you right here. But they're still considered vintage cars to this day. And these are vintage motors right here. Vintage motors carry a really, really good following, as I stated before. If you can find them in the pack, they're worth a pretty decent amount of money. So each motor right here is probably worth, and I got a whole box full of these things, anywhere between 10 and 20, maybe more dollars. So a lot of the motors that I have in the box down there have prices still on them. So this one back in the day was $44.99. This one back in the day was $36.99, as you can see on the top corner over there. And I got a whole box full of them. So don't ever just discourage, you know, if you see motors and you go, I don't even know what that is, don't throw them away. If you see the tires, you know, and you don't know what that is, don't throw those away. Openly think about how you can make money on those things, especially if you just start looking for the brand names that are on the motor packages or on the motor itself. And it's the same with the wheels. When you deal with motors, the most important thing to highlight to the customers, if you don't know about them and they're loose and they're not in packages, you might have to infer that they're not new, obviously, right? So what you want to do is just put untested in your description of your motor wherever you sell it. Sell it on Craigslist or eBay or whatever channel that you want to pick to sell your stuff. Just make sure you put untested. When I put untested, it kind of removes me from the situation and it allows the buyer to sit there and go, okay, do I want to risk and buy this item? It's untested. I realize that because that's openly disclosed in the actual description. And it's okay to put untested, trust me, it is. I've sold a lot of things untested and it's just kind of the way, if I tried to test everything, it would take me forever. And I am all about bona fide money and bona fide profits, which come with very short amounts of time associated with everything. So I don't try to get all these cars working. I don't try to test every single motor. And it's just the way I like to hustle the lot. I like to be done with the lot pretty quickly and then off to my next hustle with the money that I made from the lot. So I hope you enjoy this remote control haul video. I really aimed for it to be more of an educational thing so you guys can check out hobby grade remote control cars without risking any of your money, right? You get to watch my video and learn about, hey, that's kind of cool. If I ever see that kind of stuff when I'm out there garage sailing, then I'll know exactly what I'm looking at or have a pretty good idea already. Just remember that hobby grade remote control cars are kind of where the money is. And if you're dealing with other remote control cars, you have to be a little bit more of an expert when you're dealing with like a Nico, a Tyco, or an old Radio Shack remote control car, because those don't have bodies that pull up like I showed you from the hobby grade ones, but those are still heavily sought after cars. I do aim to have a pretty good remote control car, I don't know, video, guide, or something in the distant future, and that'll help you guys even further with some good tangible stuff that you can have and carry with you when you are actually out there hustling remote control kind of stuff. To this very day, I've never gone sour on a remote control car deal, which is great. So is there money in remote control car stuff? There's absolutely a ton of money to be made in remote control car stuff. I mean, a lot. So as stated before, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you really liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Bonafide Hustler channel. If you want to find me on Facebook, you can. Ask me remote control car questions, whatever questions. You can find me on Facebook at the Bonafide Hustler. You can find me on Twitter at YouTube Hustler. If you're down for some cool Hustler swag, and gosh, why am I not wearing my own shirt today? I have no idea. You can check out my Bonafide Hustler store. We can find all the cool Bonafide Hustler t-shirts. That link would be down below. If you want more information about hustling, and if you really want to be on the Hustler fast track to making serious money very quickly, go check out the Green Room, which is my paid Facebook subscription-based page, which I run with College Picker and Retro Aficionado. It's a page dedicated to really showing you all the tips, tricks, be on the lookouts, and all the crazy stuff that we mess with in the channels of Etsy, Amazon, eBay, Craigslist, Antique Booth, everything. It's a really good place to get a one-stop look at what you should be finding out there in your marketplace. That being said, this video is done, and I hope you liked it. Comment! I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye! Okay, so an amazing score in this garage sale. We bought a ton of stuff. We bought all those bike rails right there, as you see. A box full of Pez stuff, a badass